Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from AnthonyMorganti.com. Welcome to my video series, The Filters of Aurora HDR 2018. In this video, we're going to take a look at the HDR Denoise filter that's available in Aurora HDR 2018. Now, those of you that have worked with HDR in the past know that the process itself induces a lot of noise in the image. And it's essential that you do something to get rid of that noise. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think the HDR Denoise filter works that well, at least not for me. For me, at least to my liking, it softens the image a little bit too much and obliterates too much of the detail. What I do is I reduce the noise in each of my bracketed images before I ever send them over to Aurora HDR 2018. Now, you could do that in Lightroom, you could do that in Photoshop, whatever program you might use other than Aurora HDR 2018 to process your image. Just remove the image or remove the noise in each of the bracketed images. So if you have a bracket of 5, reduce the noise in each of those 5 images and then send them over to Aurora HDR 2018. You will still get some noise, but at least it will be a lot less, and you'll see that your image will have a lot more detail and will be a lot easier to work with. Now, if you do have just a little bit of noise, then I think the filter works fine, and I'll show you how to use it in that regard. Now, for this image, this was a bracketed set of, I think, 5 images, and I did not remove the noise in any of the individual images. So this is a good demonstration of how much noise you'll likely get in a bracketed set of images. And what you would do when you're working with the HDR Denoise filter is zoom in so you could see a little more detail. So go up here to the top and I would zoom in to 100%. And as I zoom in on the altar, you could see that there's a lot of noise. Especially in these darker areas, you could see that there's a lot of noise that came into the shot. And the way the filter works, it only has 3 sliders. And again, it has an amount slider. And that amount slider is like the volume control on a stereo. And by default, this amount slider, unlike the amount slider that's in the HDR structure filter, this one is at 0. So if I even move any of these, the other 2 sliders at all, nothing will happen. You have to add some amount. So you have to turn that volume control up just a little bit before you start seeing any change to the image. Now, as we move the amount up, you'll see that it starts to get rid of the noise. But my complaint is it starts to obliterate detail. And if you look in here where there's some detail, as I move this slider to the right, you can see the detail starts to really soften. Where the words are here, you can see it softens it quite a bit. So what we need to do is you have to try to find a happy medium between all 3 sliders and see if you could get rid of the noise but still preserve as much of the detail as possible. So what you would do is move the amount up to, say, 50. Then with the smooth slider, if you move it to the right, you're actually going to be smoothing the image more. So you're going to be making it a lot less noise, but you're going to still be losing a lot more detail. Conversely, if you move that smooth slider to the left, you'll be adding back some detail. Now you might be enhancing a little bit of the noise too, so that's where this happy medium comes in, where you have to kind of do a balancing act between the 2 sliders. So bounce back and forth between these 2 sliders. See if you could move the amount to the right to get rid of as much of the noise as possible. Move that smooth maybe to the left to try to preserve a little more of the detail. If that's not working out, then you still have a ton of noise. You could try moving the smooth slider to the right, but just remember, you're actually going to be obliterating more of the detail. So it's really up to you. Some images might not be as detailed, and it won't hurt the image to really smooth it. So you won't, have any problem moving that smooth slider to the right. So bounce back and forth between these 2 sliders, but we still have that 3rd slider, the boost slider. What the boost slider does, it really just reduces contrast. It's as though you had a contrast slider and you're moving it to the left, even though you're taking this boost slider that's default at 0 and moving it to the right. And you can see as I move it to the right, we really start losing contrast in the image. So it's making the darker parts a little lighter, mainly. And in doing so, the noise might not be as noticeable. So I don't care personally for the boost slider myself. I like my images to have a full range of tones in most cases. So I want something in the image that's really dark and other parts that are really bright, and I want all the grays in between to be represented. And to me, that boost, moving it to the right, is just making the stuff that I had black gray, and I don't care for that as much. Now, again, in some situations, some scenes, it might not be a problem, and you could move the boost to the right, and between all three sliders, you'll may be able to really effectively remove the noise in the image. So it's up to you, but what I would suggest you do still is go with that amount slider, move it up to say 50, then move the smooth slider. Move that up to 50, then evaluate the image. Did it obliterate too much of the detail? If it did, move that smooth slider to the left. Try to bring back some of that detail. If it didn't obliterate the detail, then move the smooth slider to the right and see if you could reduce the noise even more. Then come in and see what boost might do. Maybe you'll find somewhere along here where that boost does a nice job and helps enhance the image even more. When you're done, go back up here and go to fit to screen. So you'll zoom back out, and that will be how you could effectively remove the noise in your image with the HDR Denoise filter in Aurora HDR 2018. Thank you everyone that watches my videos. I truly do appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.